Who's wearing a Harry Potter sweater and not filming a video related to Harry Potter in any which way at all? You get 3 guesses. Well, first of all, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Second of all, today I'm going to be talking about my biggest disappointments of the year so far. It's November, so I'm assuming I'm not going to have too many more disappointments by the end of 2021. It's entirely plausible. If so, I will talk about those in a later video. I'm going to talk about the books that I had really high expectations for or were really hyped up and I did not like, or that I DNF, did not finish, etc. So these are the 6 books that I just did not like. I'm not saying these in any really particular order from like best to worst or anything. It's just the ones I think that are most well known. So the one that everyone that I've heard the most good things about will be at the end, and the ones that I've just haven't heard people talk about as much will be at the beginning. So the first book I talked about in my video last week, so go check that out. I'll link it in a card or the description box, maybe both. And that would be The Scorched Trials. I'll insert a picture here so that you know what I'm talking about. It is the second in the Maze Runner series, and I do own the first Maze Runner, and I did enjoy it. But The Scorched Trials by James Dashner, I DNF'd. I could not finish it. I think I got about halfway through, and I just did not like it. I thought that nothing was happening. I had no clue what their objective was. I didn't know what the threat was, why anything was going on. There just didn't seem to be a clear plot. And I got about halfway through and I was like, you know what? I have no clue what's happening. I have no idea why they're here, what they're doing here, like what their goal for the future is, what the threat traveling behind them is, anything. And I'm sure that it's going to be explained at some point, but since there's 2 more books and the last one ended on a cliffhanger, I just couldn't do it because I didn't think that it would be explained and I didn't want to have to go through that. And I thought, okay, I read The Maze Runner, I'm good. So Scorched Trials, I DNF'd because I was so confused. So next is the Kingdom Keepers series by Ridley Pearson. I read 4 of the books and I got halfway through the 5th book. And there are 7 books in total. So I got pretty far. The first one I really enjoyed. It's about kids. They audition and then they are chosen to be filmed as holographic tour guides for Disney World. There's this hologram walking around Disney and you can ask questions about where to go. You could get a picture with it. They become kind of famous. And it's actually really cool, but then this kid finds out that when he goes to sleep, he wakes up as his hologram in Disney World, and that the villains are trying to take over Disney World. Somehow this needs to be stopped, and he has no idea how he fits into it, but he's willing to try and figure it out. And there's also like 4 other kids. So the first book was actually really enjoyable. I loved the way the Disney parks were presented. I'm a huge Disney fan. So the first one I really enjoyed, but then the problem with this one was that the plot of each book was really repetitive, but the information was not. So the first book and the second book, I was like, okay, this is kind of the same plot. Cool. But then I was also like, oh, I didn't know he had a sister. That's new information. Oh, I didn't know her mom was a single mom. That's cool. I didn't know that girl was rich. But then the third one, I was like, okay, this is the same plot. I don't understand. Same plot, different setting. And then I was like, wait, his sister's younger than him. I have not seen her in this book. The person that we said had a single mother all of a sudden has both her parents. Where did they come from? And the girl that we said was rich, apparently she's struggling with money. Like, it was just like that, where it just, every book, the plot was the same, different setting, but all the information was totally different, and I couldn't keep track of who was who, each person's living situation, family. It switched up, and if I as the reader can't figure that out, that's a huge red flag. But also it seemed like the author couldn't remember what was what, and that is very, very bad. Each book, I finished it and I was like, I need to know how this series ends because I just need it to be resolved. Oh wait, no, did I read Shell Game? Oh, I don't remember. Because see, at one point I had all of them out from the library, and then literally when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to read these, I flipped through the rest of the books. It was so predictable because it was just the same plot. I don't know how it ended though. And then there was like the relationships. I was so confused. I was like, wait, I thought this girl liked him. Why is she flirting with him? And they were super cute together. Why are they all of a sudden fighting? But they didn't have a fight. Did I miss something? It was just so inconsistent with the characters, but so tiringly consistent with the plot that I just had to DNF the last book. Would recommend the first book if you're a Disney fan, but as for the whole series as a whole, no, not worth it. The next is one that I talk about in my Let's Talk About Kiera Cass video, so that will also be linked in the card or the description or both, and that is The Betrothed by Kiera Cass. So this book I read a couple of weeks ago, and I really like Kiera Cass. I have the entire selection series, and I read The Siren, and obviously now I read The Betrothed and The Betrayed. But I did not like The Betrothed. I was sorely disappointed with it. I had high expectations because of my love for the selection, and I was just disappointed. So it's about this girl. Her name is Hollis, and so she's not like royalty, but she's a noble family, so she lives in the palace. And she's betrothed to the king now, or it is expected that she'll soon be betrothed to the king. She's like, okay, this is great, my life is good, he's nice, he seems to really like me, I'll be queen, this is going really well. And then she like meets this other guy, and she's like, oh, I actually love him. I don't love the king. I need to get out of this situation. What do I do? Ah! But it was so predictable. With the king, she really enjoyed being around him. That was great. Everything was perfect. And I was like, okay, the other guy is going to come in. He's going to be poor. He's not going to be able to offer her any titles or money or anything. But he's going to really love her. And she's going to feel comfortable and happy with him. Sure enough. And then I was like, okay, in every book, they always fall in love with their eyes for some reason. Like, in every book, there's the line, I got lost in the deep blue of his eyes, and I feared I would never be able to escape. Sure enough, her inevitable love interest had deep blue eyes that she loved the color of, and the other guy just had boring chestnut brown eyes. As a person with brown eyes, I am personally offended by the amount of people in books that do not like brown eyes that go with the blue-eyed boy. But then also there was a lot of nothing was at stake. If she went with the king, she might have been a little unhappy, but she would have had everything she wanted and a good title and pleased her parents, and the kingdom would have been happy and great because she would have been queen. If she had gone with the other guy, she would have been happy. She would have been in a great situation again. Kingdom would not suffer. He would not suffer. She would not suffer. In every situation, no one was going to suffer, really. And there was nothing at stake, which was probably one of the reasons I did not like this book, because all of her freaking out and fretting, pretty much for nothing. Because if she went with the other guy, it was just whether or not she was mildly more happy, or not even happy, more comfortable. I don't think that it would have mattered. To me, I was like, okay, go with the second guy because you thought of him second, and that's my philosophy. No one else would have cared. Not a one, except for him. So that's A Betrothed. I did in fact finish that one. Actually, I have no idea how many stars I gave it, but I can check. I think it was like, I gave it 2 stars, which if you look at my Goodreads, which is linked on my channel, that means that I wouldn't recommend it and I wouldn't read it. Not a total waste of my time because in fact I did like the second book. Now we are getting into very popular books that I picked up solely because Book Talk liked them. So the first one is Circe by Madeline Miller. She wrote The Song of Achilles, which I actually did enjoy, so don't come at me for that. And I had seen a lot that people like were in love with Song of Achilles, read Circe, and said that it was slightly worse. Not bad, just like maybe a star worse. I read it, and it took me 2 or 3 weeks, which most books around the length that it was take me maybe a week. If I'm drawing it out for too long, I'm gonna get bored and tired of it, and I don't want to read it. That automatically usually bumps it down. And I just don't think I like Madeline Miller's writing style, because I didn't really know what was going on half the time. I felt like there was no plot. It was just a bunch of little things about her talking about what was going on, and nothing was happening in the moment. She was just kind of telling us what was going to happen, or what had happened, and I felt like we were never in the present moment, which I didn't really like. It was just kind of hard to keep track of things, and I didn't feel like I was ever into it. I didn't feel like I was connected at any point or relating to her. Yeah, and I also only gave it 2 stars, which means I would not recommend, would not reread. The only reason it didn't get 1 star was because I do like I'm a fan of Greek mythology. I enjoyed seeing a different side of Greek mythology, because so far I've literally only know Greek mythology from Percy Jackson, which is not the most instructive part. Oh, and the Hercules movie. So the only things I know Greek mythology from. Next is one that I know a lot of people like. I did not like it. Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. Just No. So here's my story with Shatter Me, which is about a girl who has lethal touch. If you touch her or she touches you, you will be in a lot of pain and probably die. So the first one I read in 4 days because it's a nice short book. Gave it 3 stars, meaning there were some issues, not my least favorite book in the world or anything. And I read it because everyone liked it. But I just was like, it took me like way too long to find out what was wrong with her. The only reason I knew what was wrong with her was because I read the synopsis or I heard it somewhere. But if I hadn't known, I would have been so confused for so long. Even knowing what was wrong with her was confusing. You just didn't know what was going on. You didn't know what was wrong with her. You didn't know what was wrong with the world. You didn't know why the threat was threatening. You didn't know what she had to do with any of this, etc. So that was confusing. Also, with the first one, I was just not interested. It never got me invested. I never understood how she could help stop this thing, how you could stop the thing, like the big threat. I never understood the threat and how you were supposed to stop it and how she was really involved with it. And also the love story was so cliche and predictable, it was painful. Then the next one, Ignite Me, I also gave 3 stars. Shatter Me, Ignite Me, and Unravel Me, I gave all of them 3 stars. But I didn't really like any of them, so I don't know why I did that. Someone please tell me how I was supposed to read these books, because I read it, because if I searched it up every single time I read. I was like, okay, here I am searching it up. I'm searching it up right now. Moving on. So it says Shatter Me, great. Destroy Me, a novella, great. Okay, I didn't want to read the novellas, so I didn't because I didn't have access to them, or I just didn't want to because I didn't like the first one. It doesn't matter why I didn't want to. Unravel Me, cool, gonna read that. Fractured Me, novella. Okay, not reading that again. Ignite Me, cool. Restore Me, great. That came out 4 years later though, so okay. Shadow Me, novella, not reading that. Defy Me, great. Reveal Me, novella, not reading that. Imagine Me, great. Believe Me, novella, not reading that. But then I read the first 3, and it ended as if it was the end of the series. So I searched it up, and I was just getting so many mixed information on whether or not that was actually the end of the series. So I just read the first 3, and that was it. The author has very poetical writing, and the character should not be written with poetic writing. It seemed like it had 1 foot in romance, 1 foot in dystopian, and it couldn't pick which one, and that ruined it. It was a ripoff of Divergent and Hunger Games and those types of things. It actually reminded me a lot of The Host by Stephenie Meyer, which is a huge book, but it was so similar to this, it was almost scary. Except for The Host was better, I think. Yeah, so there were just so many cliches that weren't executed properly. It just was so unoriginal and did not dive deep enough into any storyline. I could never relate or connect with the characters. The only character that I really liked was Kenji, because he reminded me of Keith Sensen and like every comedic relief in any book, and I love the comedic reliefs because I loved Kenji. That was the only character I liked in the entire book. I think that was his name. I'm just gonna search that up because if it's not his name, yeah, it is his name. Also, I shipped her with no one. She did not seem mentally well enough to be in a relationship. By the end, I shipped her with Warner. At the beginning, I kind of shipped her with Adam for like maybe a chapter or 2, but then I just stopped. Before they were even in a relationship, it was just like, especially they were like, if we can't touch, this relationship won't work. And I was like, try talking to each other. Try getting to know each other more than the fact that you knew each other when you were 9. Yes, relationships are partially physical, but if that's the only good part about your relationship, that's not healthy. So, and the fact that her and Warner had a relationship where they talked and found out stuff about each other, that was good. But then Kenji, they were incredible platonically, but also I kind of shipped them. Does anyone else ship her with him? That's probably why Shatter Me got 3 stars, because of Kenji. So the one that I've seen all over Book Talk, that I've seen everyone say that they cried over, loved it, it was so incredible, is, I'm sorry to say, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. You can say all your hateful things now. I'll wait. You done? Great. Okay, moving on. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is by V.E. Schwab, and I gave it, one sec, I hate that I have to check, 2 stars. Would not recommend, would not reread. So it's about this girl who makes a deal with pretty much the devil to be be free. But as always with these types of wishes, she's gonna live forever, but she can't be remembered by anyone. And so the things I didn't like about this book were that the chapters were so short, but then they switched time periods. I don't like books with long chapters because it feels like I'm getting through it quicker, but the reason I didn't like these short chapters was because it was a 2-page chapter and then it switched time periods. So it was way too easy to just read a chapter and stop. I didn't like the switching of the time periods. It made it feel really repetitive and like I was just reading the same thing over and over. And nothing really happened for so long. And when something finally did happen, nothing happened after that. It was one chapter of something happening, and then nothing happened. Yeah, I just felt like it was way too uneventful. It did not keep me captivated. I put it down so many times. It took me way too long. Okay, it was 448 pages. Maybe that makes sense. But I don't know. I wasn't reading it enough. It wasn't good. People saying that they loved the ending. Okay, it comes full circle at the end and I kind of enjoyed that. I didn't love it. It's not my new favorite book. All the hype, I think it's way overhyped. I was not satisfied. I'm sorry. So that's it. Those are my biggest disappointments of this year. Tell me if you've read any of these books and if you agreed or disagreed. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I know a lot of people liked some of these books and I'm really curious to know whether or not you did. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more book videos. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Turn on the notification bell if you want a notification when I post. If not, I'm really trying to get better at posting every Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you. I hope you have a really great rest of your day, night, or morning. See you in my next video. Bye!